Today we're back with another edition of the Footy. It is round 24, the final week of regular season for the Footy. What a year it has been, and we've got some epic games on the slate to finish us off, particularly this Sunday slate looks very good. We're going to be breaking down a bunch of teams with a lot of finals implications on the line. We'll take a look at the Brisbane Lions and the Essendon Bombers. Might even take a look at the Cats and the Eagles, but this Sunday slate looks very, very good. We're going to look at the Dogs and the Giants, and we'll finish with Freo and Port Adelaide as well. Very glad that you're here and that you're joining us. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe because that really helps us out, and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok as well. And you can leave a review on Apple and Spotify too. And did you know that 40% of you, only 40% of you who are watching this are subscribed? So 60%. Like, subscribe really, really helps us out. It doesn't cost you anything. You might have noticed as well, NFL preseason is back, and Sully and I have been doing a little preseason of our own, getting warmed up for when the NFL returns in a couple of weeks. So we've got preseason week 3, which will be coming over this weekend. Then we sort of take a week off, the weekend off. There's going to be no footy. There's going to be no NFL as well. So this is like the only week in the entire year where I can take off. As always, never bet more than you can afford to lose. Gamble responsibly, and help is out there if you need. All right, let's start off with this Saturday night primetime game. It's the Essendon Bombers are going up to Brisbane to play at the Gabba. Brisbane Lions are 36.5-point favourites. The over-under is 169.5. I wouldn't mind taking the over on that one. Looking at the weather on Saturday night, man, it's going to be beautiful weather in Brisbane. God, I'm jealous. It's going to be about 20 degrees at kickoff. We'll start with disposals for the Brisbane Lions, and there is one name in particular that we're going to look at for anytime goal scorer as well as disposals are quite like this. We're going to look at Cam Rayner for 15 plus touches. If you want to bet him up to 20 touches, you can do that, but you're not necessarily required to. $2 for 20 disposals. For 15, you can safely get him at $1.25, so that's not too bad. He'll sit somewhere in between there. If you wanted to bet his line, I think that's going to sit around 19.5, perhaps 18.5. If it's around there, I'm keen to bet the over on this one. He had 15 disposals last week. It was a weird game for Brisbane last week. We got to keep in mind they got out to an explosive lead. Their kicking inaccuracy really, really cost them, and they had some late game fatigue as well when the Pies were really, really coming. They've had a few issues up front as well, and we have heard through the week that Joe Danaher does plan to hand the ball off a little bit more as well. So Cam Rayner kicked 0 goals last week. He kicked 2 behinds. Our ticket was so close to hitting it. Just needed that 1 goal in the opening minute of the game that he just sprayed a little bit to the left. So I'm willing to jump back on him this week. In weeks gone by, he's had 22 disposals in round 21. He had 25 disposals in round 20, and in round 19, he had 20 disposals as well. So 15 looks good. 15 and 1 looks great. If his line is 18.5, I want to take 18.5 and 1 on that one. Model really likes him to kick a goal. Other person that we can look at as well. So Lachie Neale's an interesting case because you're not getting much value on him for 25 plus touches, but I still prefer that over the 30. Once you jump up to that 30 disposals line, that's where his value really starts to drop off. So at 25 touches for Lachie Neale, it's $1.20. Don't mind adding that one on. I think it's going to be a great game for the Lions, and as we've mentioned, it is must win for them as well. Dane Zorko has been hyper efficient in recent weeks as well, 26 disposals last week, so that's over the 25 that you need. He did have 24 the week before that, but 26 and 32 before those weeks. So Dane Zorko, Lachie Neale, you can get Dane Zorko for $1.50 as well. So that's even better value in that space as well. And they're all playing through the midfield. Cam Rayner, Lachie Neale, Dane Zorko. This is a really good pairing. Even Josh Dunkley at 25 plus disposals is $1.55, but Model does like him the least because in recent weeks, he had 27 last week, but 23, 20 before that, but 31 the week before that. So few really, really good options for the Lions. There's also going to be some really, really good options for the Bombers as well, who are one of the higher disposal getters. Someone who I just want to call out is Will Ashcroft. You can only get him for 25 plus touches if you want value, and he doesn't always hit on that. Even though he has in the last 2 weeks, he can fall short, and so I'm a bit weary of that. There's so many mouths to feed in this Brisbane Lions midfield. There's also Hugh McCluggage to consider as well. So And I don't foresee them all getting 25 plus disposals, which is what you're going to need. So Cam Rayner strikes me as a good option. Dean Zorko is good value at that option as well, and you can pair a couple of these with the Essendon Bombers we'll get to in a second. If we take a look at anytime goal scorer for Brisbane, a couple of names stand out. So I've already talked up Cam Rayner at $1.30. He's had 25 goals from 49 shots at goal on the season, and he had 2 sitters that he should have got last week, and he missed both of them. So I think this is a good bounce back spot. I went against my best judgment last week. We were really talking up Kyle Lohman. We should have just sat on Kyle Lohman. Man, he had a good game. Probably one of the best games of his career so far, his young career to date. $1.35 for anytime goal scorer. 24 disposals from 54 shots at goal. He has really come alive. They love playing him up forward as well, and he has got to be in contention for a rising star. So with all that in mind, this is the last week of regular season, last chance that he's going to have for voting, so I wouldn't mind betting a Kyle Lohman game as well in this spot. If you want to go a little bit deeper, Lachie Neale has officially entered the chat at $1.87. You can get him for anytime goal scorer. He's come alive in the last couple of weeks. He's started kicking a couple more goals. He's 12 goals from 19 shots a goal. And hey, let's hope that Joe Danaher starts handing a couple of those balls off as well. We'll take a look now at the Essendon Bombers who are heading up to Brisbane. This is an interesting game. So Dyson Heppel comes in. We know the controversy through the week with Dyson Heppel. Should have played last week. Matt Guelphy is also back from injury as well. So that's an interesting one to look out for. And I've got a couple of long shots with him that I don't mind looking at. Sam Wiedemann goes out, and as does Jai Menzie. We're going to start with Jai Caldwell, though, who went off last week. We were on Mason Redman. He fell short by 1 disposal, as did Sam Durham. He really let us down last week, 16 disposals. So Jai Caldwell stepped up in his place. And the player who's really come alive in the last couple of weeks, watch out for this name, Archie Roberts. 25 disposals last week, played really, really well. 16 before that and 18 before that. This is a similar trend with what happens at Geelong. If you're a young player who hits the ground running, you will come back time and time again. And we can get in some fantastic value on Arch Roberts, who we're going to jump on this week. For 20 disposals, Arch Roberts is $2. So you don't even have to bet that much. You can bet him at 15 touches, and that'll get you $1.25. So he's had that in every single game he's played in his career. So that's fun to say. With Heppel coming back, I think that's going to affect a few of the mids and the defenders. So we're not going to jump on Nick Martin again. We're not going to jump on Mason Redman or Andrew McGrath, who was also good last week with his 29 disposals. I just want to see how that one plays out. But there is a lot of value to be had with the Bombers. They had 7 players last week go over at least 20 touches. They usually sit around 8 or 9, so plenty of value to be had here. I mentioned a second ago, I wanted to just touch on Matt Guelphy for 1 second. So you can get him for 15 plus touches at $2.60, because in his last game that he played before he got injured in round 19 against the Crows, he only had 6 disposals, and then 11 in that really disaster game before that. There was a rained out game at the MCG against the Ds. But before that, so between week 12 and round 17, he had at least 15 disposals in every single game that he played there. That was against teams like the Blues, the Cats, Collingwood was in there as well. So for a bit of a long shot, I don't anticipate, I'm looking at the lineup at the moment, he's not starting on interchange as well. So he will come straight into the lineup. And they've got him playing in the midfield, or on the wing rather. So with that said, at $2.60 for 15 plus disposals, I really love this bet. This is a sneaky value that I think we've found. I would just play it as a single. I'm not going to combine it with anyone unless you wanted to do a super long shot there. And also very interestingly, let's get to anytime goal scorer, because you don't actually have to bet now Jake Stringer or Kyle Langford for 2 goals. You can actually just take them at the 1 single goal, and they'll give you a little bit of value. You could go Jake Stringer, and I think you could probably bet both of them. $1.30 for Jake Stringer for 1 goal, $1.35 for Kyle Langford for 1 goal. And they are pretty much consistently getting at least a goal in every single game they play, even together. I don't think that Brisbane's going to be the biggest defensive team. This is Dyson Heppel's last game, so I think there's a fair bit on the line. I think these players are going to want to play well. And then outside of that, that's where the value really starts to drop off. So let's have a look at some sort of value of Kyle Langford for 1 goal. We'll look at Matt Guelphy for touches. We'll look at Arch Roberts for touches. There's heaps of value on the Brisbane Lions side as well. Really into this game. I think this is going to be a really, really great game. And it's also kind of why I like the conditions favour betting the over of that 169.5. All right, we'll jump now to the Sunday day game. This is the first of three epic clashes for finals positions. It's the Western Bulldogs and the GWS Giants. They're going to be up in Ballarat. Apparently, conditions are going to be horrendous as well. It's going to be very windy. It's going to be cold. It should be raining as well, a little bit of rain. Dogs are favoured. Minus 13.5 with the over-under is 160. And I think this one has upset alert written all over it. If you think back to this time last year, man, that was a crazy way to finish the seasons with the Dogs. I think they just missed in the end. And I think that the Giants might do the same as well. They want to lock up that second spot, which is encroaching if Port Adelaide later in the day win their game against Freo. So what I will mention is for the Giants, Lachie Ash is out. That's a big out. He's been playing really well lately. And for the Dogs, Riley West is injured as well. So he's one of their main goal kickers. So it's going to be a lot of funneling the goals through the main key guys. Let's start with the Western Bulldogs. Disposals for the Western Bulldogs. First one we want to go with is Bailey Dale. Been playing very well over the last couple of weeks and Model really, really likes him. He had a down game in round 22, which may have helped us get a little bit of value on him for this game here at $1.20. You can get him for 20 plus touches. If you want to bet it up to 25, you can. It's going to be about $1.80 that you'll get, but that's where it starts to get a little bit iffy on the consistency there. So he did have 23 disposals last week, 14 the week before that, 34 and 25. And I just think with the amount of people coming back for the Dogs, which is like Tim English, Riley Garcia, and Caleb Poulter as well, we'll see what happens through the middle here. Jack McRae has also come back in recent games as well, so should be interesting there. The other name we want to mention that you're probably not familiar with, it is Joe Frazier, who had a breakout game last week for the Dogs. He had 29 disposals, so he smashed his implied total. He did play through the middle of the season, but then missed the last couple of weeks, but he's back, and he's been playing in the half-back line, and he's sort of been filling in that Jason Johannesson role, and he's been doing a really, really good job of it as well. So Joel Frazier is the name to watch out for, and you can get a ton of value on him at the moment. You can get him for 15 plus touches, which is definitely doable. He's definitely done it the last couple of weeks. That's $1.27. If you were ballsy and wanted to bet the 20 plus disposals, you can do that. It's up to $2.30. Imagine pairing that together with Matt Guelphy. Wow, that's going to be a long shot bet. Now, the other one that you can get value on, which I think that this is probably because of the conditions, is Marcus Bontempelli. You can get him for 25 plus touches, and that is just sneaking in at value at $1.40. Not bad for Marcus Bontempelli. You probably won't see that again for the rest of the year, so I might tack that one on as well. We'll jump now to anytime goal scorers for the Western Bulldogs. Marcus Bontempelli, again, he's got very good value for anytime goal scorer. He's $1.25. He's 30 goals from 55 shots at goal on the season. Last week, you had to bet him for 2 goals, and the value just didn't seem there. Well, he had 0 goals. So this seems like a really good bounce back spot for him. 2 goals in the previous games as well. So $1.25 for anytime goal scorer. Love that. Riley West is out. We're not going to get any value on him. You can get Jamari Ugle-Hagan for 2 goals at $1.80. I'm just a little bit concerned about the conditions and which way this one is going to go. I think it will be a low-scoring affair, all things considered. And this strikes me. It's not even the rain that concerns me. It's the amount of wind. Apparently going to get about 35 kilometers worth of wind out there. So we'll see how that goes. We'll take a look now at the GWS Giants. And like I was saying, I consider this to be a bit of a letdown spot for the Dogs. I think this is a get-up spot for the Giants, who are in really, really good form. And they're going to want to secure that number 2 position so that they can play in Sydney. I mentioned Lachie Ash is out. Coming in is Cal Brown, Xavier Halloran, Harvey Thomas, and Nick Haynes are coming in. I think one of those last 2 are going to be the emergency. You can get, so in Lachie Ash's absence, who has been very, very, very consistent in getting 20-plus touches, I think that this is where someone like Connor Iden might actually step up a little bit. But you can also still get Finn Callaghan for 20 disposals. That'll get you $1.25. That's not bad. Stephen Cornelio's back. He played really well last week. He had 24 touches, so he's back in form. I just don't think the value's there for 20-plus disposals. Similarly with Josh Kelly. I want to look at Connor Iden in this spot, who has 18 touches last week, so he didn't quite get there, but 23 the week before that and 20 before that, so at $1.45, that's nice value. And then one player who's really come alive, and this will actually help us transition into anytime goal scorers, is Brent Daniels. 29 disposals last week. He has stepped up massively, but I mean, at the same time, which Giants player hasn't? So at $1.65 for 20 disposals. Really like that, especially while someone like Harry Perryman has been a bit trickier in recent weeks to bet. He had the 19 disposals last week. For anytime goal scorers for the Giants, again, Brent Daniels is where we want to look at $1.50 for anytime goal scorer. He's 23 goals from 48 shots at goal on the season. He had a couple of really nice goals last week. He had 3, in fact, so models all over him at $1.50, and he's scored in every single game of at least the last 5 games. This is going to be a bit trickier to score, but I think it's going to be there for him. I don't see this being a huge Jesse Hogan 6 goals game again, although maybe they will funnel the balls inside forward 50 to Jesse Hogan so he can secure that Coleman medal that he's won for this season. All right, I'm not going to touch on the Blues and the Saints game just because the Blues have so many injuries. It's so much is up in the air. I'm not too sure how it's going to go. We do have a few good Saints spots that you can usually take, though. But we'll jump to the final game of the round. This is the big one. This is the Fremantle Dockers taking on Port Adelaide Power in Perth. This is a huge game for Freo. They need to win this, and they are into finals. They lost marginally last week to the Giants. They couldn't quite keep up with them. And then, gee, how big does that 1-point defeat to the Bombers look now? Port Adelaide need to win this to secure a top 2 spot and have home field advantage in the first week of finals as well. And they're going to be scoreboard watching the end of the Blues and the Saints game as well. So a lot on the line. We'll start with Freo. Looks like Josh Tracy has injured himself. He'll be out. James Ash comes back. Neil Erasmus is going to play. And Michael Walters is back as well, which is cool. We're going to look at a few pretty good options. I'm going to start with Andrew Brayshaw for 25 disposals. You can get him at $1.20. 41 touches last week. 20 the week before that, so a bit of a down game. But that's a big down game for him. 33 the week before that and 36 the week before that. You can get him at $1.25 for 15-plus touches. He had 14 last week, okay, but previous weeks before that, 28, 16, and 18. So he does hang around there. And with a couple of the Freo injuries that we've been looking at, particularly where he's playing, I think this is a good spot for him. Hayden Young, who's been having an elite season, he's probably got to win like most improved player. 19 disposals last week, so just missed out on the 20-plus touches mark. But before that, he had 22, 27, 20, and 28, and $1.20 for 20-plus touches. Could get there. Maybe you could even bet him up to 25-plus touches. That'll get you $1.80. So if you're going to bet his over-under line, I'd probably bet the under if it's going to sit around 26.5. It sounds like it based on these odds. And the other one we might look at is Matthew Johnson for 15-plus touches. Also looks somewhat interesting. A lot of the Freo players had a bit of a down game last week. Matthew Johnson had 11 disposals last week. That's disappointing, but you can get him for 15 and $1.25. And the week before that, he had 21 touches. So definitely like where that's looking. If we look at anytime goal scorer for Freo, the model mostly likes Luke Jackson to kick a goal. Now, he's sitting around $1.40. He's had 17 goals from 31 shots a goal. We don't always love betting on Ruckman to kick a goal, but Luke Jackson is a bit of an enigma, so we're happy with that. The other one the model really likes is Hayden Young to kick a goal. He's come alive in the second half as far as goal scoring goes since they moved him from the half-back line to the midfield, and he's had 13 goals from 28 shots a goal. So in a game where they really need goals and they need to win, that this must score. He's going to be touching the ball a lot. I like him for a goal. So you could even take Hayden Young, 20-plus touches, Hayden Young, anytime goal scorer. Big Hayden Young game incoming. Bailey Banfield, we are completely off him. We were on him earlier in the season when he was kicking goals. He hasn't scored in about 5 weeks. And I'm not about to jump on him now, even though his value is up to $1.90. I think he's in the doghouse as it looks. And if you like a long shot, Caleb Sarong actually has a valuable number now, $1.90 to score. And his value on proposition for kicking a goal has been through the roof all season long because there's 11 goals from 24 shots a goal. And those 11 goals have all come in the second half of the season. He's had 151 score involvement, so could be there for Caleb Sarong as well. Big games incoming for these guys. A long shot that probably shouldn't be a long shot as well. Sam Swiskowski, $1.95 to score. 11 goals from 23 shots at goal. And he's playing in the forward line, so that should be a lock. But, I mean, he hasn't been scoring of recently, but looks like good value to me. If we take a look at Port Adelaide now, well, they've probably got one of the biggest losses of the season. Dan Houston is suspended for 5 games. He's out. He's not going to play. And that sends a lot of chaos into this lineup for betting 20-plus touches, players, and disposals for the Power. So Mitch Georgiades is coming back. Josh Sin looks like he's in. Ollie Lord's going to come back, and Jed McEntee as well. So a lot of names coming in. Narkle's dropped. He's not going to play as well. So, like I was just saying, with Dan Houston out, this could really go anywhere. I'm struggling to read who's going to step up in his place. I suspect it'll be Kane Farrell will be the guy that you'll want to jump on. The only problem with Kane Farrell is he's kind of gone a bit quiet in the last couple of weeks. He was good for a period of time there, but in the most recent games, 11 disposals and 17 disposals. Did have 25 the week before that one, though. So for coming out of the half-back line with Dan Houston out, this looks like a good spot for him. Do we go with Lachie Jones? I just don't think so. Brandon Zerk-Thatcher, I just don't think so. I don't think I want to play those guys. They don't really regularly get the ball as much as I'd like. So maybe it might be worth looking at Chase Burgoyne to get the 20-plus touches that we need. He'll be sitting at $1.50, which is pretty good value, all things considered. He's gone over his 20-plus touches line last week, the week before that. The week before that, he had 18 in round 21, but then he has been doing it a lot. He's actually really come on fire. So really like Chase Burgoyne in this spot. Could be good. If you want to bet the boys of 25-plus touches, it's Connor Rozee, it's Zach Butters, Jason Horne-Francis, and Ollie Wines. I'm just not loving a huge amount of them. The thing with Port Adelaide is it only takes one of them to have a huge game, and then the others sort of have a bit more of a down game, and picking out which one is going to be is really tricky. So with that said, Travis Boak is the other one playing in the midfield that I think could step up in a big way with Dan Houston out. So we're going to look at Travis Boak, 20-plus touches. Look, it could be Willem Drew. It's hard to say, but Chase Burgoyne is someone who I kind of like as well. There's just so many ways we could play this. Freo's a really high disposals getter team, so that's where I'm going to look for disposals. For anytime goal scorer for Port Adelaide, a couple of options here that we really like as well. Jason Horne-Francis, he's been our guy pretty much most of the season, and he usually comes through for at least a goal a game. The other one is Darcy Byrne-Jones. He also comes through for at least a goal a game, who we really like there as well. He's sitting at $1.35 for anytime goal scorer. Jason Horne-Francis, $1.25. So I'd probably play that Darcy Byrne-Jones way. Although we did just see Mitch Georgiades coming back. So with Mitch Georgiades coming back, and he's also usually good for a goal a game, the books do not have him listed at this time. So he might pop up soon as the weekend kicks on. So look out for Mitch Georgiades. If he's in there, I do like him for any time a goal scorer. And if you're feeling super frisky, for whatever reason, Sava Radigalia, he has a line as well that you can get. $1.45 for any time goal scorer for a Sava Radigalia. I hate that. I would not be advising that. 4 goals from 13 shots at goal. All right, let's relax. All right, that's going to do it for another week of the footy. Round 24, final week of regular season. And then finals is here. Very, very excited. We're going to have a lot of fun bets coming over the finals weeks as well. A lot of really good matchups to look at too. We'll be back with NFL props as well. Preseason's nearly over and out. And then regular season begins. We'll have that Ravens and Chiefs matchup for week 1, game 1. Game 2 in Brazil, we'll have the Packers and the Eagles as well. So tune into that. Enjoy the footy this weekend. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
I gotta bring it from now, baby. Gotta get some work done, baby. Gotta waste away the afternoon.
Don't let the game play you. Stay in control. Gamble responsibly. In Australia, phone 1-800-858-858 for free and confidential support. In Canada, learn about safer play at Know the Risks from the Responsible Gambling Council at knowtherisks.ca. In America, must be 21 or older and present in Arizona. Gambling problem, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. Colorado, gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. Connecticut, if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. In Illinois, Maryland, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Indiana, gambling problem, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Kansas, gambling problem, getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com. Louisiana, if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP. In Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support. Play it smart from the start or call 1-800-GAM-1234. In Michigan, gambling problem, call 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help. In New York, for help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Tennessee gambling problem, call Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789. Wyoming gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. Prop Nation betting show is for entertainment purposes only and should in no way be considered financial advice.